Hello, my name is Marion. I'm a blogger at missmustardseed.com.
And my name is Christy. I'm a blogger at Rosemary in Time.
And this is Design Ramblings, where we talk about anything and all things design related. And today we're going to talk about the farmhouse style, which seems to be a popular thing right now.
Yep. We were talking before about how it's kind of branching out a little bit from just like being one, solid style to, different aspects of it are kind of making its way throughout all the, different trends right now.
Well, and I think you're seeing farmhouse style in places other than a farmhouse. Like
Right.
You're seeing the suburban home being turned into more of a farmhouse, and you're seeing, and I think there's a whole movement even to just people wanting to live on farms. Like they want to have chickens and have their own, you were talking about like beekeeping.
Yes.
And I think it's all being driven by this desire to sort of get back to things that are natural and organic and
just a simpler kind of lifestyle. And I think that the style of, the farmhouse style definitely lends a hand to that kind of a lifestyle.
Right. So there's so many different ways to interpret farmhouse style. There's sort of the more like industrial farmhouse style. There's a very classic American farmhouse style.
Right.
There's French country farmhouse. There's, what else am I missing?
I would say right now the biggest one I have seen is the industrial one, where you kind of it's really cool to see people take like lofts in Brooklyn and something like that and making it very it just has lots of hints about farmhouse style. So maybe barn doors, or if you watch our previous video, we were talking about using barn doors in houses and doing it in more of an industrial way, where you're using piping to hang them, that kind of a thing.
Right. But then mixing that with really rustic old pieces. So old wooden dressers and so I think when I think of farmhouse style, I think of like more simplicity. Like there's not a lot of excess. It's not like I used to be really into just very strict sort of French country provincial, which is very like toiles everywhere, like on the walls and the beds, and lots of fabrics and tassels, and it's all very sort of much more overdone, or at least sort of some interpretations of it are.
Right.
And I find that I'm going a lot more to just the simplicity. I still love that French provincial style, but I like more just like a simple chair upholstered in a grain sack, and that's it, just on its own.
And I think it plays a lot with textures too. So bringing in kind of natural elements of, like having a big, farm style table that's raw wood, playing with the, hemp sheets and stuff like that. It's very almost, it's very tactile around the house. And I think it has made a move to kind of like a more sparse kind of look, where you're letting, bigger furniture pieces kind of speak for the room, rather than, filling it with lots of different, just decorations and all of that kind of stuff.
Which I kind of like that, and that happened naturally for me, not so much as a design choice, but when I had kids. You have to, you just can't have stuff on your coffee table unless you want your kids eating it, so, or, playing with it. And so I had to, and that was hard for me to I had, my different level stacks of books, and then with candles on it, and it, so there's, of course, Jeff is then like,
just move it over
to put his feet on the coffee table or something. But I really tried. I loved those vignettes and everything. And when I had kids, I had to get rid of all that. And as they've grown up, I've found, I kind of like the space. I kind of like not having anything there. So I think that sort of naturally happens to people anyway, through the progression of life when you have kids. But I started to really see the beauty in that in some of these, especially in some blogs who do that so well, like Dreamy Whites.
Yes.
It's just that just makes you want to go live on a horse farm.
Yes.
There are lots of other wonderful blogs out there. Can you think of any off the top of your head that really... There's an Instagram feed that's great, like Vintage Whites, I think it's called.
Anything white, we're all about. All of the white walls and all that we're a fan of. And I think another way that you can kind of make that transition is, taking those pieces that you did have on coffee tables and things like that and putting them into pieces like, doing like an armoire with glass doors where you can put everything in there. And I've seen a lot done with bookshelves now. So like built-in bookshelves where you can still display the pieces that you love and cherish, but they're just not as kind of overstated in the room, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of editing that goes on. And I've been learning, I think I used to think that like the more great pieces I could find that were great bargains, like the better. Right. And now I'm much more like, I'd rather buy one piece that I'm just so in love with and it speaks to my style and it's just perfect in the space than to, go home and with a trunk full of stuff.
Right.
That I'm like,
and the problem with doing that is, you're detached from it from the start. So you're going to keep going through this cycle of like going through stuff, and you're going to end up spending more money trying to get the look you want than if you had gone out and bought like, the nice piece that you wanted in the first place.
I agree with that. And I've seen my design style come out more as I've gotten rid of the things that we acquired as newlyweds or that people gave us, because when everybody knows you're like newlywed and poor and stuff, they're like, here, have a couch, here, we just got rid of our table. And it's so like, those are such blessings at the time. But then at some point, especially if you're really into decorating, it's like, I really want something in my home that's like that I chose. I went and bought deliberately. It was an intentional design choice. Although I have some great freebies that are like, I love still to this day, but it's nice to be able to go out and pick out
definitely
something that really fits with you. So, so for somebody who wants to bring that farmhouse style into their home, what are some of the, you've already kind of touched on some places to start, but like what are some things that they should be looking for to bring into their home, or how can they combine some things to achieve that look?
I would say kind of start with a neutral palette. So, so that when you bring in those like natural textures and things like that, it fits.
So it doesn't have to be just whites or beige.
No,
it can be
like the grays and
but even like greens, I think like greens that you'd find in nature, like grass green mixed with white can be really beautiful. Or blues and grays and
I would just take kind of your inspiration from the landscape and just build off of that, so that because there are ways, even in my home now, like I'm having to mix, pieces I've, purchased from IKEA because that's what we can afford at the moment, and, old antique pieces. And kind of the way that I make it all work is I just make it all really neutral, so that, the style of the piece may be a little bit different, but at least the colors and the looks of it is all kind of cohesive, and it brings it all together.
Yeah. I think furniture is a really good place to start. Trying to find, I think the key on furniture is the material. So you'd want to find pieces that are made of like real wood or a natural fabric like wools and jute and hemp and linen. I think those things all really speak to farmhouse style.
Definitely.
And then the type of finish that's on the furniture, things that are real like high gloss factory finish doesn't really speak to like farmhouse style. It's much more like matte finishes, even just raw woods. Like right now we stripped down our hardwood floors, and right now they're just raw wood, and I'm going to refinish them at some point, but I'm kind of digging just the raw wood. There's a real beauty in that. So I think just going to things that are natural as opposed to things that are real sort of the factory finish look. That's what I would say to get a start on it. But there's a lot of inspiration out there since it is a popular trend. And by the way, if you're like, well, I don't follow trends, I think this is something that a lot of people have latched onto the look because it's really beautiful and it's very livable.
I think it's very timeless too.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I don't think it's not like the chevron or the deer heads or the kind of trends that we've talked about. I think this is the kind of thing that if you love that style, go ahead and incorporate it in your home. And I think, 100 years from now, it's still going to look beautiful. I don't think it's going to go out of style. So I think this is a trend that you can go for and not be concerned about that later.
I definitely agree. Yeah.
So if you like our ramblings and want some more design inspiration, we do have other videos available on YouTube to watch. And you can also follow me on Instagram. I'm on Miss Mustard Seed.
And my Instagram is Rosemary and Time Designs. And our blogs will be linked in the down bar, so you can go ahead and check those out as well.
Yep, and if you'd like us to ramble about something, feel free to leave a comment, and we would be, or send an email.
Yep.
And we would be happy to do that.